Welcome to our podcast, Może Kafa. We are Ivana
and Maki,
your host. In this podcast, we discuss interesting details about Serbian language and culture from a learner's and teacher's perspective.
We offer new and fun resources for learners of Serbian. To follow each episode with annotated script, vocabulary, and quizzes, join us also at Može Kafa Podcast on Instagram. So if you're ready, grab a cup of coffee and enjoy the podcast.
Zdravo svima, dobro jutro. Actually, it's not morning. Dobar dan svima.
Dobar dan svima.
We are, as you already know, Ivana and Maki. Hello.
Yes. Hello from Maki.
And this is going to be our last episode this season.
Yes, season 1. I'm excited to
Me too.
finish it. Yeah.
I'm excited to finish this one, to get some feedback, and then to move on maybe with we have some topics in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to see many things that, or many ways how we can improve. And yeah, so it's going to be a topic of this episode. We're going to just, talk a bit about our experience having this, like doing this podcast, starting it, and also talk about, or maybe answer some of the questions that we got from our Instagram page, but also our personal Instagram pages. And I think no one wrote anything on YouTube. I just said comment, and then everyone liked, and no one commented anything, so that's fine.
That
but
means
we have
maybe,
enough
Ivana,
questions.
that means like they're happy with whatever.
Yeah. And also, I don't know how many people follow our podcast from my YouTube. So, not everyone needs to listen to it, or maybe has time to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good.
All right. So, shall we first talk about how we felt, what we experienced, like in a minute?
Yeah, sure. Do you have a question?
I have a question, of course. So,
yeah.
Tell us, like the listeners and me, how you felt producing this podcast, and some challenges that you had. I mean, we had together, but you personally. And was it better or easier than you expected, or harder, more challenging? What would you say?
It was everything. Like literally, there's a good and bad sides, and there's surprises, and it is easier but harder in a way. I always compare it to my YouTube channel, because over there, there's like, it's a different medium in a way. Of course. You have audio and video, right? And
subtitles sometimes.
Yes, and subtitles, yeah. And it's very demanding to do everything, because you have to be good at, or like constantly improve with your video and audio. You have to put everything like, it has to be catchy, maybe some good content. Doesn't have to be, it can be just entertaining or whatever. But it's just like a lot of things to work on. And I thought, well, it's a podcast, you don't have to do that much. And we did, investigate a lot. You remember, it was like a month or two of like investigating.
Yes.
How
about
to do
hosting,
it, where to post.
Which apps to use, test them, invest or not. So these were the big questions.
So many things. And also, of course, like, what would we talk about? Like, that was also a challenge. And I think for our podcast, podcasts in general, people are much more likely to listen to it longer. But still, I feel like the content needs to be on point. So it has to be like a good content. You're not going to listen to whatever. So here we don't have the video, we don't have the visual, but there's something else that we have to, figure out. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out: how to present, like which topic to present, what is important, and how to present it. And of course, how long, and all of these things.
Yeah, the timing was a bit longer than we expected, though.
Yes,
we started with 15 to 20 minutes, and then most of the episodes are around 30 minutes now.
Well, maybe that's my fault. I love talking, so I like when I have a conversation, I'm like, at least 1 hour I need with someone. I need to feel relaxed, and that's what I felt whenever we would record. And maybe that's why they were longer. I'm like, I don't want to be like, oh, okay, hi, this is what we're going to talk about. I wanted it to be like a conversation with you, like we sit down for a coffee. But not everyone has that much time. So maybe this is something that we're going to work on for our next season. So shortening And also probably maybe we should ask them for some feedback. Like, do you want it shorter or longer?
Yeah.
Although some people have already said.
Yeah, I asked a couple of friends of mine here, especially Serbian friends, asked me to try to shorten it.
But so that's a challenge. But on a plus side, it was just like a nice chat. Like
Definitely.
we genuinely enjoyed it. I mean, you can feel that. So to feel comfortable, have to talk. Also, I learn things. I have to prepare for these episodes. You have to be well organized as well. So
that's true.
Yeah.
And as for me, I had the biggest chance, I guess. I was the luckiest here because I had the chance to talk to a local person like about everything that I was wondering for half an hour regularly. Like, I mean, this is not something that everybody can have. That's why I'm so grateful about this to you and to our time.
Yeah, I never think about that, but yeah, actually for me, it's like I have to like organize my thoughts because I have many things to say, but ultimately you're the one who's learning and who is, using that information. And for you, it's much more beneficial because when we end the episode, it doesn't help me much, right?
Yeah, you just forget about what we say, but I sit down and go over all the vocabulary and I like try to understand how we used it, why we used that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good. That's exactly why we are doing this.
Yes.
And it's I'm just kind of like sad that I'm not in Serbia I think we can do so many things if we were in Serbia. Like we can interview other people. We can, like I can ask around, I can film even for my YouTube channel, but here, like get some audios, and there's so many opportunities, but it's just what it is. Not quarantine, Corona pandemic. And I'm not in Serbia. So.
Yeah, but at least we had the Instagram page, and I personally enjoyed having like quizzes there, preparing the quizzes and seeing people's reactions. People tried again and again to get the right answer, and like each quiz has had more and more participants, so I really felt so happy about this.
And my sister was doing them. She was like, I mean, she knows Serbian and everything, but she's like still doing them. And I think she made a mistake.
To check if Maki knows.
No, she made a mistake, I think, once. But even my boyfriend was doing them, and he was pretty good. And, his Serbian is very, very limited. He just knows how to order. But yeah, it was, I do them every time. So it was engaging. I think that's a very important part because you get that feedback, right?
Definitely,
as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
Thanks
Thank you for taking over Instagram.
No,
I'm really
it's my
happy.
pleasure. It helps me learn it. It's like my journal because I write everything down there. I mean, you write them in our file, but still I need to copy and edit and take out some of them, So that's why it's like my journal. I like it.
Good. It's a lot of work as well, and also it can keep you on the internet, And I'm like, that's why I'm like, I just don't want to have another account and like spend so much time over there, because it's contagious, right?
Yeah,
it's addictive.
There's always something to improve there, so you just spend more and more time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's learn the questions. Let's hear the questions from our followers.
Okay, so you got some questions. So do you want to start with yours?
Yes, one of the first ones, I think it was the first one. Can anyone join your show to talk to you? So one of our followers wants to join us to have a conversation with us.
I would love that.
Me too.
I would love that. I think there's some challenges with the equipment. I think that's something that we will have to figure out. We sometimes have issues with the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, especially me, I would say, and equipment, because we want to give good quality like audio.
Yeah.
So it would be.
That's why I also said like let's test it out first, and then we invite you. Like for 5 minutes, we test it out, and then maybe we can have in our episode 2, season 2. Sorry.
That will be a great progression. I will love that.
Yeah.
So let us know if you want to talk to us.
Yes, definitely. And one of the beautiful questions, I think, I like that question. How about talking about rakia? Because it was already in my list, you remember? So what types of rakia are there, and your favorites are like what phrases to use while ordering rakia or asking questions about rakia?
Oh my God. I think that's a topic, like one episode.
Yes,
I think so.
definitely. It's a big culture here, and everybody is so proud of their own homemade rakia. So we
Yes.
should
Yeah.
definitely have an episode on it.
I don't remember buying rakia maybe once in my life. Like we always have local, like our friends. My dad would make rakia.
Mm-hmm.
Rakia is such a big part. It's a social aspect, it's as well as coffee. It's a social aspect, but
Yeah,
it's more personal because we make it. We don't grow
but
coffee here,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's
So
in. So, dear follower,
it's in.
we will have an episode on it.
Yeah.
And another question from me was: is there like about grammar? We had a couple of questions. So, is there a trick in learning reflexive verbs, or the best way to use the right words? Because there are a couple of options, like verbs having the same meaning. So, which one to choose? Which one to, you know, use in different contexts? So they wonder such things.
Yeah. So I think it would be good to explain one. Well, um,
Maybe 10
there's
most common verbs we can have.
yes. Because when we get to several meanings of one verb, I think it would be good to explain 1 to 2 meanings, but like I wouldn't go in
Yeah,
detail so much, you know.
it would
But
be
of
heavy.
course, yeah, it would be too just I always say this to Maki, like I always want to limit how much vocabulary we introduce, and that's why we talk in English, because it's scientifically proven that you cannot learn more than 7 words at a like per day, so to speak. So but I think she had a good suggestion, like we should use one verb but in many contexts so that they can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be good. And yeah,
Yeah, we can prepare that.
yeah,
Definitely.
there's so many, like that one question is loaded, there's so many things we can talk about. It can be several episodes. Okay,
Okay.
what else did you get?
It's not a kind of question, but a friend of mine wanted to ask you actually how you
Oh.
feel about this most one of the common sayings here. Pričaj srpski da ceo svet razume. So that means speak Serbian so that everyone understands. The whole world understands you.
I found it interesting that someone told you that, and now I understand why. You know, it's so funny because when my whole life, like 23 years, I stayed in Serbia, and then that's a phrase that we have, like "Priča srpski, da ceo
But
svet razume."
why do you say it? Like you're already speaking in Serbian with each other, right? So, like, do you
Yeah,
say this
but
to foreigners or do you say this to what?
yeah, okay. So I'm not quite sure every meaning for it, but the way we would use it, it would be like as a joke for like foreigners or something like that. But if she has some other use for it, then she should let me know. But it's kind of like I always got it as a joke, like we're so self-centered, like Serbia is the center of the universe. That's how I got it.
Okay,
So,
I think he also meant that. Like,
yeah. Or maybe when someone is like mumbling or something like that, and then you want to correct
this is
them,
what I
maybe something
expected.
like,
Yeah.
you can. I guess you can say that.
All right. Nice. So your questions now.
I have my questions, and as I already shared with Maki, like there are questions like that we can talk about for days. So these are like episode questions for like each episode, one question. So I'm just gonna read them a bit, and not gonna talk a lot about them. So there was one question from my friend. Actually, she texted me and she's asked, "Do you really not have Posna Slava in Serbia?" And we had one episode on Posna Slava, and she's from Montenegro.
But we mentioned there are 2 Slavas.
Yes, Posna and Mrsna. Yes,
Mrsna,
that's true.
yes.
Yes, but she said that so Posna is usually on Wednesdays and Fridays. So if your Slava falls on a Wednesday, then it should be Posna. So theoretically, there is Posna Slava, but you don't. I mean, my Slava was never Posna. Even if it was on Wednesday or Friday, no one cared. So I will tell you, some people follow it, some people don't. So we do have Posna for sure. But for example, my ex-boyfriend's mom would sometimes make Posna, like with fish. And I was like, why would she make Posna Slava? Like Slava was to eat a lot, like that was the point, but yeah, then I realized that not everyone eats
Depends
Posna.
on the family. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the second question, or like the seventh actually, is I would like a primer in Serbian politics. No polemics, just to learn how the system works. That would be an episode. What do you What do you
Yeah,
think?
actually, yeah, I'm also not aware of many things when it comes to politics. Like at least the system, the legal system here. Like if I have questions for you, so I will prepare.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm also going to have to prepare because I don't know much, but we're definitely not going to go into like, feuds or whatever. We're
Mm-hmm.
just going to talk about the system and then,
Yeah, maybe
yeah.
main parties, like what kind of, like leftist, rightist, or Republican. How do you call them, and what you think about them? Like
Yeah.
not your personally, but in general, how they are considered.
Okay. Okay. And then another one is is I'm interested in Serbian history and literature, and I think these are broad topics, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can think about how we can present them simply, or like maybe in how do you call them, like in batches in a way,
Mm-hmm.
so not to cover the whole of Serbian history. And by the way, I have an ebook, it's called Zdravo Srbijo, where you can find your like kind of a survey of Serbian history. So
Nice.
this is like in like notes, some notes, but it's not like extensive. It's not, this is just for you kind of like to get something quick, like a quick fix.
Yeah.
So but maybe literature according to like most known important artists,
Yes.
or
You remember one of our followers, like a month ago or so, wrote us about a book. It was about the bridge, Drini Bridge.
mm-hmm.
So
Ivan
like,
Andrić, yeah.
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 So we
Nadrini
can
Ćuprija.
we can mention this book, and we can have an episode on like Nobel
Yeah.
Prize winner authors of Serbia, for example.
Yes. This book in particular, Nadrini Ćuprija, is really, really difficult to read. So as a beginner, you should not read it in Serbian. There was one of the supporters on Patreon that actually asked me for a list of like easy books, and I gave him a list of some usually like funny stock short stories. I think that they will be easy to understand.
All right.
Yeah. And then we had some other questions like things to do and not to do when you get invited over for food by a Serbian family. I think this is a good topic.
Very good topic.
I think, yeah.
Especially
Again,
me as a vegan. I need to learn things to say.
yeah. And I thought we didn't have many rules, and they were very, very like open, but there are rules, of course, so we can do that. Although, again, I think in my book, I have some of the rules, like things that piss Serbian people off and things that don't. And yeah, I think that was it.
That was it? Okay. Let me see.
There
was one more question, actually. Tips on how to learn Serbian faster.
Oh man.
That's like an impossible mission to me, but
so I would tell you what works for me. It's a variety of modes of learning, of inputs, of exercises. I don't take one way. So like I don't just listen. I listen, I read, I repeat, I talk, I do exercises, various types of exercises. So like I just mix it up, and in that way for me, I don't know, I can absorb it faster.
Yeah.
So you have to find it for yourself. And okay, two things. You have to have the motivation. So are you going to use that language for something? If you're not going to use it with your friends, with your partner, with your family, with your surrounding, whatever, you're not going to learn it as much as you could when it would be useful. And if you have that motivation, then consistency and like variety.
And another tip from me, I think like if you do something fun, like doing podcasts in that language, not doing podcasts, of course, for everyone, but playing games or doing exercises. I use some apps to learn Serbian. They give me a great deal of vocabulary and phrases, and I really love playing on these apps, spending time on them. So, and one of the most important things, if you are going to speak that language, to speak it with real people.
Oh my God.
That's hard and challenging, but still there are, for example, my first 3 people here, like friends, I found online from a website, completely free. They want to exchange languages. Like they want to practice English with me or Turkish, and I want to practice Serbian with them. So
there you go.
dedication, motivation, and some research, I think, to really find those resources.
Yeah, I think no one wants to feel stupid, because when you start speaking some other language, you probably speak like a child, like a 2-year-old child, like water, voda, like, but you have to start somewhere, and you're gonna see progress, and that's
Definitely.
just what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Great.
it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this season. Let us know if you have some more like feedback or like suggestions or anything, how we can better this this podcast, and we'll see
Yes,
how we can change it and integrate some new stuff.
definitely. Please leave your reviews on either on the applications that you're listening to us or on our Instagram, and feel free to share whatever you're thinking. We are open to every kind of idea and
Exactly.
suggestion.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you, Maki. Hopefully
Hvala
see you
puno.
soon. Hvala, hvala. Oh, yes, I should say it in Serbian. Yeah.
And thanks everyone for sending questions and writing reviews. It was great. Okay. Vidimo se.
Vidimo se. Pozdrav svima.
Prijatno.
Prijatno.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our podcast and learned something new.
In case you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, make sure to share them on our Instagram page, Može Kafa Podcast. Prijatno!